you formed your band Seikimatsu.
Seikimatsu. Yes.
And this was part of your plan to conquer the Earth.
Conquered, yes, Earth.
Do you rule the Earth now?
Ruled the Earth now, and the world is now ours.
Well,
still.
And how is that working out for you?
Welcome to Polishing Turds with Nick and Cal. Let's just do this in English. Nick, my name is Nick.
If I said my name is Cal Chan, what does that suffix mean? Do you know them all yet?
Doesn't Chan mean like child?
I think it's like friend. I'm pretty sure Kun is child.
Okay.
Like if you say like Nick Kun, I'm like infantilizing you.
Well, you are Cal Sensei to me.
Yeah.
You know.
Cal Sama.
And this is, of course, the show where our learning center bot discovers and takes a deep dive into the history of bad music.
Yes.
That's the worst intro we've ever done,
well,
Cal.
We're not AI, so what? Cut us some slack here.
No, we are AI.
They'll never know. They can't tell anymore what's AI and what's not.
No, and that's the good thing. So when we do something very funny and poignant, it's us.
Yep.
And when we just totally fuck up, it's AI.
AI slop that we just left in.
That was, I forgot to mention, this is part of the reason I knew that Babymetal podcast was AI, is because the guy, whenever he had to use the word is, he said IS.
Yes.
And that's what Babymetal IS.
Oh, yeah, dude, yeah, that's AI. There's no human being on
Sometimes you
Earth.
slip up the word is.
Yeah.
That's totally normal.
Am I saying that right? Is?
All right. Well, let's get into what this podcast is. It's all about Babymetal. So, konnichiwa, we're here for Babymetal Part 2.
Hell yeah.
And I guess before we move forward, I have a few corrections that I have to note from our last episode, which got a lot of positive responses from our listeners. But I had one former Japanese fan who had a few notes correction. We noted that in the video of Sakura Gagouin that we played, that they were performing in Tokyo. Turns out they were not performing in Tokyo. They were performing in Yokohama. And this person cared about that because they used to live in Yokohama. Okay. So, apologies.
We get it, man.
Yeah.
With how much we blab about Wisconsin, believe me, we understand.
No. If you confuse Chicago for Milwaukee, we'll get mad about that. So we get it, 100%. The same fan also noted that the idea of the sexy schoolgirl trope has been around in Japan at least since the late 60s, early 70s, which... not a huge surprise.
No, that seems about right.
I think that's like almost universal. And perhaps most importantly, though, the Backstreet Boys are not from New Jersey. They're from Orlando, Florida. I knew... Okay, guys, I knew it wasn't New Jersey. It's just like sometimes you're on the spot talking, on a podcast in the moment. You just have to say something. And I think even before we stopped recording, I remembered that it was Florida. But I think we should rewrite history, Cal.
They're a New Jersey band.
From now on, canonically, the Backstreet Boys are Jersey boys.
Yep.
But alas, let's get to the real subject of this episode. Now, in part 1, we discussed Babymetal's origins in Japan's somewhat problematic idol scene. And that episode, I'll admit, was a bit creepier than one might have expected.
That was one I went back. When you edit, you kind of lose sense of time.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I went back and listened to the finished product in my car that I was like, holy fuck, we talked about pedophilia a lot in this episode. like, this is almost a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. And I imagine that hits different when you have an actual family and, idol-aged girls in this household. But, I am happy to report that today, however, we will be shifting away from the sordid and predatory world of idol music and toward the comparatively wholesome world of satanic heavy metal.
That's unironically true.
I know, that really wasn't even a joke.
No, yeah.
It's just...
One thing that blew my wife's mind is I started dragging her to all these death metal shows. She's like, these are like the nicest crowds of any show I've been in. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, they're like metalheads are
just a bunch of
completely
nerds.
Normal people. Like the idea that like Nancy Reagan had in her head of what metal is a lot closer to like what she described small town America being.
Yes.
And the reality of small town America is probably more depraved and satanic than anyone realizes.
Anytime you've ever heard someone say I'm a Satanist, just translate it in your head to edgy atheist.
Yeah.
That's all it actually is.
Like,
no one's doing rituals.
Oh, you drive a Prius?
Yeah.
No, like, metalheads, apart from the handful of like black metal incels, that kill people. There's that, but
those guys would have found something. They would have found some reason to be an asshole somewhere.
Absolutely. So, as we said before, Babymetal emerged as a gimmicky subunit of the also gimmicky idol group Sakura Gakuin. And while young Suzuka, Moa, and Yui were already hardworking professionals by this point, they had literally zero experience with heavy metal, and the three of them initially balked when they first heard the type of music that they were asked to perform. So, Cal, you have some kind of experience with this. You are a stepfather to young girls, and you are also a man with an extensive collection of hardcore metal music. And there must have been a moment, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall, where they first heard these sounds that I'm sure nothing in life had ever prepared them for.
Yeah, our oldest stepdaughter for sure had a moment like that. Because I think the first time I was at home, like, listening to something really heavy, she was probably like 10 or 11. And it was kind of that, where she was like visibly like, what the hell is this?
So, like, imagine, being around the same age as these girls were, and not only do you hear like blast beats and like growling for the first time, but your boss, is telling you, it's like, okay, you're gonna make this music now.
You're doing it.
It's just,
that has to be horrifying on the level of like, I don't know, someone comes to you, Nick, and says, you're a gangster rapper now. You're going to figure it out. I don't know how you're going to look hard, but you're going to figure it out.
No, but it's like, at least I've heard gangster rap before. It's more like you've got to like...
you're going to play the Hindustani ragas now.
Yeah, exactly.
You're the next Ravi Shankar. Are you ready?
It's like, now I'm composing Bollywood soundtracks. It's like, just do it. Come on. You'll be fine. So yeah, so they claimed that they hadn't heard heavy metal. They found it scary when they first heard it.
Dude, well, you and I even remember being in high school and first discovering like true extreme metal. Heaviest thing I'd heard was like Metallica or Korn.
I honestly remember, like, even when Slipknot came out, I was vaguely a little intimidated by that. And then through the internet, you and I discovered like all these people who claim like that's not hard, and we're like, what do you mean that's the hardest
what
thing?
is hard then? And then they show you Cryptopsy and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it's like, who would listen to this? So the idea to introduce these innocent kawaii idols to the dark world of heavy metal was the brainchild of Kei Kobayashi, the maverick producer known in Babymetal lore as Kobametal. And he will be the main hero of today's episode. And Koba is kind of an enigmatic figure. Doing a lot of this research was tough, but especially finding information about him. Like, he seems to want to purposely stay in the shadows, even though he's really the puppet master behind the entire Babymetal phenomenon. You go to his Wikipedia, you can't even find his birth date. I don't know how old this guy is. I don't know where he grew up.
I like this.
Yeah.
More and more I'm starting to like respect this attitude.
Yeah. No, it's like being mysterious on purpose, which...
Yeah, and you get the joy, you get all the perks of fame, You get the lifestyle, but you don't actually have to be famous.
Yeah, you don't have to like get mobbed on the streets of Tokyo.
No, he could go to the
constantly.
grocery store, probably.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And this guy is living out his dream, but
He combined hot little dancing schoolgirls with death metal.
yeah.
He's done an impossible thing, and he's earned it.
No, this guy is a true visionary, and I wanted to learn more about him than I have, but everything I have learned about him suggests that he's just like a very cool, down-to-earth guy. As you said, most metalheads are. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing we know for sure about Koba is that he is, in fact, a die-hard metalhead and has been ever since early adolescence. And in that regard, he is not alone. As we've hinted at before, Japanese heavy metal has a long and storied tradition that provided plenty of inspiration for Kobayashi's fertile mind. And while I realize that this podcast is technically about bad music, we simply couldn't let this series go without exposing you to at least some of this incredibly rich, creative tradition. So without further ado, let's give a brief, albeit woefully inadequate overview of Japanese metal and some of the music that Kei Kobayashi would have been familiar with. This is just admittedly a very indulgent episode for us. Much like the beginning of our Chumbawamba series, it's more of an excuse for us to talk about music that we've liked for a long time, but I promise it actually, in the end, will be relevant to the story that we're trying to tell.
I don't even care if it is.
Yeah, fair enough. And then here, I also, because like, if we wanted to talk about all the bands that we really want to, this podcast would be like 10 hours long.
Yeah.
So to kind of account for some of the music we weren't able to cover, I pitch this in every episode, but we have a YouTube playlist for each episode. We have a YouTube channel. It's just called Polishing Turds, easy to find. And we have playlists for each episode. The playlist for today's episode is going to be much longer than usual. And we're going to have a ton of really cool Japanese metal bands and some Japanese punk bands that we haven't had a chance to talk about in this episode.
Hell yeah.
I definitely encourage.
Probably our best YouTube playlist.
Probably.
In terms of like objective quality.
Yes. So definitely check that out. And, we kind of touched on this in part 1, Cal, but is there a thing that makes Japanese metal unique? Is there, I think we know that there's something, but can we put our metaphorical fingers on it?
All I could figure, I thought of this a long time. I don't think they are trying as hard to be cool. And I have to say that very carefully because metalheads know it's not cool anymore. They're not doing it to be cool to the masses. I mean, like, Japanese metal, they're not boxing themselves into these strict subcategories.
Yeah.
The way other metal tends to, and they're not worried about, like, how's the black metal scene going to feel about this? I think they seem to go into it with a much more genuine artistic approach.
I think you're absolutely correct about that, because one thing that struck me as I started listening to all these bands that you had recommended to me was that you could hear like a song that was in like a more of a thrash or death metal style, and then it comes out with a solo that's like straight out of like Scorpions or something like that, and just like, and then back again, or like Maximum the Hormone, they're doing like Slipknot, System of a Down verses, and then like Dropkick Murphys choruses. It's insane. It's like, and it all works somehow. Yeah,
exactly. They're you can tell they're more genuinely taking stuff they think is cool, and slamming it together instead of like, if I do the chorus this way, am I brutal enough still? They're just not worried about it the same way.
No, it's just, it's music for music's sake, and that is just so refreshing compared to everything else in the world these days. So, let me start off this section by just saying that the Japanese love heavy metal. It's been played by Japanese artists going all the way back to the early 70s, and it's been incredibly popular with audiences right up to the present.
Yep. That's where the phrase "big in Japan" comes from, right?
Yeah.
All these bands that are starting to fizzle out and burn out here, they can always go over there and still do great.
Yeah, there have been a lot of bands that I think again like because they're either not aware that these bands aren't cool in the West anymore, or they don't care. They just like what they like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the pioneers of metal in Japan was the late great Yuya Uchida, a rock singer who opened for the Beatles during their 1966 tour of Japan. Uchida became friends with John Lennon, who took him to England and introduced him to heavier psychedelic acts such as Cream and Jimi Hendrix. Inspired, Uchida flew home and started a psych rock outfit called Flower Travelin' Band.
I'm so fucking happy you started this here.
Yeah.
Good research, Nick.
No, so they're pretty legit.
Yeah, I at least the Satori album, which I'm sure you're going to talk about in a second.
I absolutely will. So at first, this Flower Travelin' Band, they're playing. It's recognizable like 60s psychedelic rock, and they're playing mostly covers of Western hits. But then in 1972, they come out with this album called Satori, and by that point, they had clearly found Black Sabbath.
Yep.
This is basically the first album of original Japanese metal, Satori by Flower Travelin' Band. Heavy.
Yeah, and see, even that has what we were just talking about, like those vocals and stuff. That's very clearly just expression. I don't think he cares, like, is this cool?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it crossed their mind at any point. They're just making music they like.
Yeah, no, it's whereas like there was a lot of psychedelic music from the 60s in, like America and England, where they're clearly just riding the wave and trying to expropriate hippies, to make a few bucks. But like this is genuine. This is a guy, finding artistic expression, and you gotta think that like being a long hair in Japan in 1970 must have been an order of magnitude harder even than being a long hair in America at that same time. Like how did he get away with that?
Very understanding parents. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
okay. You don't need to study. Yeah. We're the only parents in Japan telling their children that, but
it's like, well, thankfully your two brothers were made engineers, so
yeah.
We'll allow you to be a fuck up, and then we'll hide you in the back room of our house and tell the neighbors you died. But much like with idol music, heavy metal didn't really blow up in Japan until the 1980s. It was in this decade that groups like Loudness, Anthem, and X-Japan became household names. Now, a lot of these groups drew heavily from the arena-packing hair metal of Motley Crue, Quiet Riot, etc., but X-Japan, in particular, they managed to incorporate a lot of speed metal in their sound, so let's check them out real quick. We're off to a good start, aren't we?
Yep. I love this episode so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, X-Japan I always liked. Did you know Anthem was in Madison, Nick?
No, I did not know that.
That was one of the most obscure bands I never expected to come to Madison, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get into too much and bore all the non-Madison people, but
it's a big deal in Madison when like any just serious artist comes over here.
I guess for a metalhead in particular, it's anytime you see a band that like the actual metal scene likes come around, it's a rare occurrence.
Yeah, no, we just like nobody knows we exist, Cal.
Right. And then especially to have some band that was only big in Japan in the 80s come over.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just pretty wild.
Yeah, and then we get, like, on the flip side, we get fucking Morgan Wallen comes into town and shuts the whole goddamn city down.
Dude, don't even start. I was downtown for that through coincidence because I don't know what a Morgan Wallen is. I didn't know he was coming to town. We were down there.
This is a guy worthy of not only his own series, maybe his own podcast about how bad he is.
Well, and we were down there like, just trying to have a normal day. Mm-hmm. And then I was wondering why I was surrounded by 400-pound cowboys and their 100-pound hot wife they somehow have. Why is that a genre of people, by the way? Have you ever noticed that?
Oh, of how, like, these fat
big,
idiot gets hot wives?
Yeah, these country guys can just, like, bat way outside their class.
It's because of the fish pics, Cal. It's because they post the pics of the bass in their Tinder profiles.
That is a big bass. And it's man.
And that's what draws all the ladies out. Like,
it's got to be.
Yeah, like, I don't have a bass pic on social media. That's why I'm just, like, floundering in the dust.
It must be. I show off my PlayStation Platinum trophies, and they don't care, and I just don't understand.
Okay, but we're talking about Japanese metal here. So, like, Anthem's actually a good, like, place to start with this, because a lot of these types of groups did attempt to break in to, like, the American market, and Anthem was the first to, like, I believe actually come close to succeeding with that. Like, they had an album on the Billboard charts at one point.
Yeah, they had that level of quality and listenability that I could see it getting close. Mm-hmm. Problem is, most of the lyrics are still in Japanese.
Yeah.
And I think that is a barrier to selling records in America more than your record being in English. Selling in Japan is a barricade.
For sure. And some have attempted to circumvent that, like Loudness, like, did sing in English, and even at one point hired an American singer, so that they could try to break into the American market. You're
kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't too, because I actually think that's one of my bigger issues with that that first Loudness album. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I'm spacing the name, but I don't like the lyrics are almost English-y.
Yeah.
It's like you can tell it's a Japanese-speaking person singing in English.
You get some, like, Let's Fighting Love vibes.
Yeah, there's just certain times where you're like, okay,
yeah,
I'm not going to sing that out loud in my car. It made no sense.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you get that a little bit with some early Babymetal too, but it ranges from, I think, like, really good as I think X Japan is, to, like, stuff that's, like, on par with like the kind of Quiet Riots of the Western scene. But X Japan is one of my favorite of this group of metal bands. They too tried to move to the US at one point and tried to break into the American market. Didn't quite pan out, but they had a lot of respect among some very influential people across the world. I read that at one point the Emperor of Japan requested an original composition from Yoshiki, the lead songwriter of the group. Like, Cal, you were talking about pressure from your bosses behind the scenes. Imagine that level of pressure. Imagine when that email comes in.
I'm just laughing at the idea that's like Obama saying, like, I need a song.
Hey, I need a song. Can you make me a beat?
No, but it's even funny. Instead of going to, like, something logical like Will.i.am, he goes to, like, I don't know, fucking, like, Kendrick Lamar. Hit me up with something fresh, all right?
Yeah.
X Japan feels like a weird choice if you're a politician.
Yeah, but I guess it's just a sign of, like, he was big enough in that country that, like, it's like, oh, can you write me a song? No, okay. And also, I learned that the late great David Lynch directed a video for X Japan in 1995.
Oh, wow. All right, I didn't know that.
That to me personally, that's way fucking cooler than the Emperor of Japan.
That's super weird.
That's the Emperor of the unconscious underworld.
What is it like? I feel like I gotta see that video.
I completely blanking on the name of the song. But
X Japan is kind of loud, hair metal-y, very straightforward. And David Lynch is going to try and turn it into some weird dream.
I mean, he did. I do know that he had the Yoshiki naked in that video. Okay. I haven't seen it yet, to be perfectly honest. But it sounds really cool. It's got to be. But while these bands were rocking out packed stadiums, some even more fascinating sounds were coming from the Japanese underground. It's at this stage in the game that we're introduced to progressive black metal heroes like Psy and Sabat.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, indeed. As well as the crust punk legends we mentioned in our last episode, Jism.
Those fucking guys.
I know they're fucking awesome, and I imagine that 90% of people who listen to that song we just played will react the way that the Babymetal girls reacted to metal for the first time.
What the fuck is this?
But they're great. It's messy and chaotic and terrifying, but also they managed to incorporate a lot of really interesting experimental musical ideas in there.
Yeah, the last album they did, Sonic Crime, it starts with a 5-minute jazz piece.
Yeah.
For no reason. I don't know. I think it was included as a joke, except it's actually pretty good, competent jazz. So is it a joke? I don't know.
No.
And then it goes into more of that style of music.
Yeah. So yeah, these guys they started out making this kind of discharge-y crust punk, hardcore music, and kind of as they went along, it kind of became more metal over time. They're another example of a band that they'll play these really edgy hardcore choruses, and then they'll launch into a solo that's straight out of Iron Maiden. Mm-hmm. It's really odd, but it works for them. In the way that a US punk band doing that at the exact same time in the 80s, they would have gotten thrown off the stage.
Oh, yeah. That was too good at your instrument. That's not the point of this.
You're not supposed to show off that you have talent. But let's talk about this band and their provocative name. Now, Jism it's an acronym, GISM, and it has stood for at various times Guerrilla Incendiary Sabotage Mutineer, God in the Schizoid Mind, Grand Imperialism Social Murder, Gothic Incest Sex Machine, Gore Impromptu Suicide Mind, and Gnostic Idiosyncrasy Sonic Militant, among other things. What's your favorite of those, Cal?
Gothic Incest Sex Machine.
That's what I was gonna say. That's probably mine.
I love this whole idea, too, of just it probably just meant Jism the whole time. Yeah. But they invent all these things of no, it means all this stuff.
No, just here are 4 English letters I mashed together. What does it mean? And it's kind of like Imagine Dragons, where they just make up something and that becomes it. Now, Jism was founded by a guy named Sakevi Yokoyama, and this dude just seems like just one of those absolutely rare breed of human beings that was born to either run a hardcore punk scene or just be a human animal walking the streets.
If Jism hadn't been enough to pay the bills, he would have just been a street criminal.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a weird dude.
Or I'm just trying to imagine if this guy had been born in samurai times, he would have maybe decapitated an entire village, but then they would have come down and finally executed him. But Yokoyama is a really interesting guy. He was known for stunts such as unexpectedly firing flamethrowers into the audience during shows.
They like it.
You go to a show, the guy comes on stage, You got a duck.
Fuck.
That's pretty hardcore. And then during the mid 80s, he also published a punk zine called POW, where he not only interviewed a lot of Tokyo punk bands, as you might expect, but he did this series of interviews asking various types of people their opinions on death. I really wish I could read this, but I can only talk about accounts of it. So some of the people he interviewed were members of the Tokyo Medical Examiner's Office, members of the PLO. You know what the PLO is?
No, I say, what's that?
The Palestinian Liberation Organization. They were like essentially kind of the forerunner to Hamas.
Okay.
It's a vast oversimplification, but they were like an international freedom fighting group committing terrorist acts for the liberation of Palestine. He also interviewed former members of the Northeast Counter-Japanese United Army. And this, I actually didn't know about this before researching this episode, but that was a communist-led guerrilla army that resisted Japan's occupation of Manchuria in World War II. So basically, interviewing those guys would be like you and I interviewing the Viet Cong.
Right.
Like it's just, that's a very provocative thing to even talk to these people in Japan.
I can't even imagine that, man. That reminds me of, like, I watched the Netflix documentary on the Taliban, and like they have the journalists that went and interviewed them in the fucking cave out there, and all I could think is like, that is way too tense of a job for me.
No, man.
I would not do that.
No, for fucking journalism, you don't even get paid for that. Like,
well, and then that's even take it a level further. He's doing it for punk street cred.
Yeah.
He doesn't even get a check for this. Like,
I know. Like, he gets paid in like spit on stage. Yeah. No, but he's a real badass dude. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2023. But
that's the only reason I shelled out the money for the Sonic Crime album.
Yeah.
He passed. I figured, like, the chances of this ever getting pressed again, pretty low.
Yeah, maybe he has some distant niece that gets some of the money.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, Jism, one of many great Japanese crust punk bands, just basically making a lot of extreme music that influenced other extreme forms of music around the world. And it is just very, very much worth listening to, in our opinion. But anyway, let's move on to the 90s. Now, here in America, this decade marks the point in time where metal took a nosedive, basically. You had grunge and alternative music coming up, and the conventional wisdom was that metal was just dead.
A lot of my favorite metal came out of the 90s, but it was all discovered after the fact.
Yeah.
Through the magic of the internet. If you were just like a mainstream consumer buying CDs,
yeah,
that's where the 90s was like a metal wasteland.
Yeah.
You weren't finding anything.
No, only there's a whole genre of music called naughties that's basically just like hair metal that survived into the early 90s, because it wasn't like Smells Like Teen Spirit debuted and all of a sudden everything vanished. Like, no, it was a years-long process.
Mötley Crüe kept trying for a while.
Yeah, Mötley Crüe kept trying. You know, like all these other bands were still around. They were still making music, and new metal bands kept popping up, and people still listened to it. But the media over time decided that all that shit was old hat, and then that just that opinion became ossified through generations of retelling history.
I also think that is the turning point for when the metal that was around got a lot more extreme.
Yes.
To the point where only the people that already liked it are really finding new shit.
Yeah, and like a lot of times that's when scenes get really good, is because like if you're still in it, you're in
all
it to win.
All the normies have fucking left.
Yeah, that's then now you can like play like whatever type of music you want, because you know you're not gonna like have to impress some record label. But anyway, the whole reason I bring that up is because in Japan this whole dying of metal just didn't happen in the 90s. Like it stayed relevant and popular, and if anything, only got better.
Yep.
So a lot of the Japanese metal bands that I really like kind of emerged from this period. You got bands like Church of Misery, Green Machine, great stoner metal band, Maximum the Hormone, are just amazing. I don't even know what to call them bands.
No, yeah, he's anything.
And of course Boris.
Yeah, I got to shoot
Sludge
Boris, Intestine Balism. and Corrupted. Those are my last shout outs.
Yeah, I still have to listen to those last two, Cal. But one of the most creative bands to emerge from this period is a group called Deer on Grey.
They're not actually metal, Nick.
Oh,
No, I'm just metal.
I don't know
Metal
what
archives.
the fuck are they?
They have they're such gatekeepers.
Yeah,
So conventional metalheads will tell you Deer and Grey. It was too new metal adjacent, so it's too close to like Korn or Disturbed.
I mean,
I am not in that camp. I think that's splitting hairs.
I 100% agree with you. I mean, these guys, I don't know how you can categorize them. Like their music really is all over the map. Now we're going to talk about them anyway because they're relevant to this conversation for a number of reasons. So Deer on Grey were formed in Osaka in 1997, and within a few years, really, they became one of not just the biggest metal bands in Japan, but one of the biggest bands in Japan. Like these guys are all over TV and are just really, really huge.
And that's a testament to how much cooler their culture can be than us.
Absolutely.
In America, this would be too heavy and too weird.
Yeah, 100%.
But there, it's chart-topping shit. I just love that.
And one of the things that I am really impressed by with these guys is, like, not only do they top the charts consistently, like they've put out 11 albums and all of those albums have charted, but if you kind of listen to their discography from front to back, like they got less mainstream over time, like decidedly so.
Yes.
Their first album is very conventional, like acceptable, like alternative rock almost, and then it gets more progressive, more metalcore-y, more.
Well, then they start pulling in like extreme influences.
Yeah,
like he'll do a death metal growl and stuff.
Yeah,
you're going like that might be one of the only instances I can think of a song with a death metal growl making any kind of chart at all.
100%, and it's again a testament to the intelligence of Japanese consumers and possibly Japanese corporate media firms as well, because Americans would have dropped this group like a hot potato for that type of decision making. But they have a lot of integrity and they keep their music challenging and interesting, and they've achieved a certain level of success outside of Japan. They even were one of the bands that opened for Korn on the Family Values tour in 2006.
See, that I didn't know.
Yeah,
that pairing makes sense, but it's still surprising somehow that they got over here and played with a band like Korn.
Yeah, it's still a little bit of a risk to put a band like this that doesn't sing in English, to a crowd of new metalheads.
No, and like we said too, they're gonna have spots in the songs that are not new metal. Mm-hmm. And in American music, we tend to like our stuff in these silos.
Yeah.
If you're going to go see Korn, you're expecting the Korn sound the whole way through.
Yeah, you don't want a moment of slow melodic guitar, or like a very flashy solo or a fucking piano, instrumental. Like, these guys will just bust out anything that they want to at any time. And their singer, by the way, their singer Kyo, this guy's a fucking freak.
Yeah.
Like this guy will go from like fucking growling to screeching to like fucking Axl Rose high notes in the course of a single song.
He can do any role you need.
Yeah. It's very impressive. And Finally, one of the other reasons I brought up Diron Gray is they're an example of, or at least in the beginning, they were an example of a uniquely Japanese movement known as Visual Kai. Now, Cal, do you want to describe to people maybe a little bit what Visual Kai is?
I can do my best. Take like hair metal, for example, like that look. Mm-hmm. But then throw in this hot topic-y vibe.
Yeah.
You know, they brightly colored hair, white face paint, no fear at all of like a man wearing like a dress or a corset. There's a lot of gender bending. Mm-hmm. It's a mix of like the vampire vibe and fucking Motley Crue.
Yeah, it's a mix of like Motley Crue mixed with like, the hair is like real life anime characters, and then the clothing is like that one Village People album where they decided to go new wave.
It's like kind of space age, kind of steampunky, kind of retro Victorian. It's hard to describe, man.
But like all these bands do it a little bit differently, and like some of them will have like kind of like Renaissance-y kind of costumes. Mm-hmm. Like all of it is very like gender bendy, and the idea, like the term basically is derived from shock. So it's designed to shock people. And again, like this kind of started with bands like X Japan in the 80s. If you walked around with like extremely long spiked hair, makeup and like androgynous clothes down the streets of Tokyo, you're going to get some pretty intense stares.
Yep.
So it was shocking to that society, as it, would be in just about any society. And Visual Kai is not necessarily like a genre of music, because you can have Visual Kai bands that play like metal, punk, or glam type of music, but it's more about a visual aesthetic.
Yeah, it's like a style. I mean, there's bands like Galnerius, for example. It's like a Japanese power metal band. Just the guitar player clearly still loves Visual Kai.
Yeah.
The rest of the band doesn't, so they just have one band member that is
so he's the Wes Borland of that group.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that this emphasis on the visual, the costumes, it clearly filters out to a group like Babymetal, where like they're not emulating it, but they're paying a lot of attention to that aspect of the performance.
Definitely.
Now, before we leave this section, there is one group I absolutely have to talk about. They're not necessarily my favorite Japanese metal band, although I think they are really good. But to me, they embody everything that makes Japanese metal unique. And I would argue that they did more than anyone else to pave the way for Babymetal. And when I say group, I'm not talking about a group of musicians, at least not human musicians. The members of this band, by their own admission, are not even people at all. They're Akuma, demons from a futuristic hellspawn dimension sent to Earth to spread a satanic religion called Akumakyo through heavy metal music. They call themselves Sekimatsu.
All right, Nick, you showed me a metal band I didn't know.
I'm kind of amazed that I got to these guys before you did. Like, I wonder if like they just kind of slipped through the cracks of international metalldom.
It has to be. I mean, I pride myself on this shit, and I didn't know. I mean, I've read whole books on history of heavy metal, and these guys never came up.
Well, I think if you had grown up in Japan during the 80s, like you would not have missed these guys. Like they were like a Van Halen of that time period. They had these guys at one point, they had a video game on the Famicom, the 1986, like a video game where like you're a demon running around like destroying like gods of other religions. Like
Iron Maiden had a video game, believe it or not,
yeah.
called Ed Hunter.
Oh, nice.
And it's fucking shovelware. It sucks, but
well, yeah, and so is this game.
Yeah.
But like,
it's like the Chex Quest game you would get in the cereal.
Yeah. They also had an anime from 1992 called Humane Society, a society filled with love for humanity, which I'm going to include that in our playlist because it's bonkers.
Are they being real, or is that like dystopian? It's like
it's so well. I'll explain the plot of the anime when we get to like the mythology of this band a little bit.
Okay.
But first, I've got a couple pictures of this band for you. Can you like kind of react to that real quick?
Oh yeah, no, I cannot believe they got through their career without Kiss suing them. It looks like Samurai Kiss.
I mean, yeah, yes and no. You know, like I think the reaction of any Western person seeing this band in their makeup for the first time is like, it looks like they're ripping off Kiss, and a little bit.
Well, and Kiss is so happy about that.
Because
Kiss did go and like the reason King Diamond's original makeup changed is because Gene Simmons sued him, said it was too close.
Oh shit! You know what? I'll have to look it up. I wonder if or maybe like just like
I have to believe they took a shot at him.
Yeah, like maybe like just I don't know. Maybe like international law firms weren't willing to work with Kiss on that, but or maybe that's the reason these guys like never really. They didn't play in America until well into this century.
Yeah, what if every time like Gene Simmons or his lawyer calls them up, they just only speak Japanese? They just act like Sorry. Oh fuck, this is never going anywhere. All right, just hang up.
Yeah. So these guys never toured the U.S. You know, and maybe that's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
They just didn't want anybody like a bootleg DVD. Like, you know, they just didn't want anyone in the West finding out about it. But in Sekimatsu's defense, they're clearly inspired a little bit by Kiss, but they're also drawing from traditional kabuki theater, which Kiss also stole from.
I was going to say, yeah, who started this chain?
Yeah, so like they're at least drawing, you know, I think mainly from a traditional Japanese style of art. And I would argue that Sekimatsu's look is way better than Kiss, and their music is way better than Kiss.
Yeah.
So they're beating Kiss at their own game. But what really excites me about Sekimatsu is the mythology. Now, basically, Sekimatsu were a band that took LARPing to its logical extreme.
Nerds. We've been saying it the whole time.
Yeah, that's why we love this shit. Its members, who never broke character and only ever appeared in their trademark costumes and kabuki-style makeup, insisted that they were all Akuma, demons with magical powers who would enslave humanity under their all-powerful guitar riffs.
I fucking love it, man.
So it's like, you know, like here in America, we had like this big moral panic about like heavy metal is satanic music that's going to enslave all of our kids. And these guys are like, we're Satanists who are going to enslave all your kids. We're going to
enslave your kid.
And like no one said boo about it in Japan. There were no congressional hearings about these guys. Like these guys would like go on Japanese daytime TV and yuck it up with, you know, and everybody would laugh.
That's because that's the sane reaction to Satan stuff.
I know. Like
dude, in 2025, I had a guy who was wearing a Slayer shirt, a Hell Awaits shirt, and he was loaded in his defense, but he goes, "Are you some kind of fucking atheist, man?" No, and I'm going like,
they're a Christian band.
I know. I'm going like, this is still a thing. Oh my god, dude.
It's
a band logo.
It's fucking bonkers. But like these guys like at least pretended to take it seriously and just made it so much more fun. Like, for example, each of them had specific ranks with titles such as Empire Magistrate, Staff General Sergeant, His Imperial Highness, and the fearless leader of them all, the lead singer, His Excellency Demon Kaka.
This reminds me of the way we used to like role play on forums when
Yeah,
we were
I
in
know,
middle
right?
school.
It's like, no, you have to call me your Excellency.
Say, His Excellency Demon Kaka.
Yeah. So this guy, and he was originally known as Demon Kogura. At some point, he changed it to Kaka. I can't remember exactly how
He must have not known like the English translation.
Maybe, yeah.
Because the first one's objectively cooler.
Funny. Yeah. Again, I think these guys just like weren't interested in.
I don't think so.
In trying to translate to America, or maybe they had just seen how that hadn't worked for some of their other peers, and they focused almost exclusively on Japan, and it basically panned out for them. Now, like Demon Kaka took the kayfabe so seriously that to this day no one knows what his real name is. Like,
that's pretty good.
He's basically never been seen without his makeup. Like the only time he ever went anywhere without his makeup was he wanted to attend like a very high level sumo match that was being televised, and they insisted that he take it off out of respect.
Yeah, okay, I could see that.
Yeah, because he's like a gigantic sumo fan, and he's like to the point where like he writes in sumo magazines as he does commentary and that kind of shit. He just seems like a really cool guy. But he would like go on daytime TV and make all these pronouncements about how like he's like the lord and ruler of all mankind.
You see that Tobias Forge from Ghost? Yeah. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
As soon as you showed your face and I know your name, it all fell apart.
Exactly. No, like you got to commit, man.
Yep.
So, just true to this like extreme LARPing, the band's concerts were called Black Masses. Their albums were called Scriptures of Doctrine, and the singles were called Chapters of Doctrine, and their fans were referred to as disciples.
I fucking love this. Slayer wishes they thought of this.
I know, man. So, you know, like even though like most people, even big metal fans in America haven't heard of them, these guys were huge in Japan. Their debut album was the first Japanese metal album to sell 100,000 copies, and their 1989 Greatest Hits album was the first to go #1 on the Japanese charts. In that same year, they were also the first metal band to perform at Kohaku Utagassen, which is this legendary New Year's Eve festival that's put on by the NHK.
That is so fucking cool that they made it.
Yeah.
Why can't we be as cool as Japan? Just once, I want to see. It doesn't even have to be like death metal. Mm-hmm. I would just love to see like fucking, I don't know, like Megadeth do a Super Bowl.
I would love to see. I mean, I don't want to hear Dave opine on
you're
anything
right.
during
as soon as I thought like that was a bad example.
I want to see the Melvins play the Super Bowl. I want to see them play Roman Dogbird, and it just goes boom, 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 and then every one of the audience is just what?
I don't know how to drink to this.
It was a 15-minute special sponsored by Pepsi. They played one song. So yeah, and then as I mentioned, they had that video game called Sekimatsu, The Wrath of Satan. You know, just imagine in the 80s marketing that to children. This is a game for children, and they're talking about Satan.
What I love with Japanese though is they, you know, Christianity. They are exposed to it. There are a lot of Japanese Christians, but like Satan kind of gets lumped in with all the historic Japanese demons.
Yeah.
They don't put this grand thing on him like he's the ultimate evil, and if you even say the word, you're evil now.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of lump him in with like any ghost or demon, and I love that.
I think that's a much like healthier mindset.
Yeah, it is.
And they don't take it super seriously. Like you're not actually attacking the sacred cows. It's like you might as well be talking about Bugs Bunny,
right?
You know, and that's
like
why
Attack of the Zombies, Attack of Satan, no difference.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool. And then you know, in this anime, basically, humane society, a society filled with love for humanity. I assume it's got to sound cooler in Japanese, but the plot of this anime is that Sekimatsu are these Akuma who like can kind of switch between their human forms and their like DBZ like like Akuma forms, and they're on their quest to like wreak havoc on humanity, and there emerges this kind of like godlike figure called Rosa who's trying to save humanity, and they end up building like these competing towers of Babylon, and like you're rooting for Sekimatsu to destroy humanity versus like this person who's trying to save them and bring peace to the world. It's just so funny. And then this is kind of like a weird sidebar, but the name of the band, usually the way that it's written out in English, it's written out as Sekima Roman numeral 2, and then also in Japanese you have Sekima in the kanji characters and then the Roman numeral 2. So Sekima means holy demon, but when you add the 2 or su in Japanese, it becomes a play on the term Sekimatsu, which means end of the century. That'll become relevant in a moment, but that's where the name comes from. Sometimes you'll hear people call them Sekimatu or
Sure.
Sekimatsu. I'm going with Sekimatsu because it's easier.
It's like how Tupac's real name was Tupac.
Yeah, basically the same level of complexity there, except that as far as I know, Tupac isn't also like a weird acronym, or at least he didn't make up one, because apparently, according to another article I read, the name Sekimatsu is also an abbreviation of a phrase that translates as "the demon that devours holiness has been resurrected again."
Genius.
It's just a common phrase in Japan.
Yeah,
you'll
they
go like,
say that all the time. Taco Bell's closed and you weren't expecting it.
It's like, hey, Hideo, what's going on? Well, Cog Flabbit, the demon that devours holiness, has been resurrected again. Okay, so let's return to that end of the century business, right? Well, this is a key part of Sekimatsu's mythology. You see, from the time that this band emerged in the mid-'80s, they prophesized that while they were sent by Satan to conquer mankind, their mission would be completed at the close of the 20th century, after which they would step into a portal of white light and return to their home dimension. And here's the thing, Cal. They did.
That's fucking crazy.
On December 29th, 30th, and 31st of 1999, after hyping up their finale for 15 years, Sekimatsu performed what they called the Black Mass Final 3 Nights, 3 spectacular concerts that honored the entire history of the band. And at midnight, on December 31st, 1999, Sekimatsu stepped off the stage into a white light and were never heard from again.
It's so fucking amazing.
This is what ICP should have done
This
with
is
the
what
Joker's
like
card.
most bands should have done.
I know.
Every time I go on YouTube and like Judas Priest Live 2025 pops up in my fucking algorithm, I just wonder in my head, why couldn't they have just stepped into a big white light?
I know. Just like,
What are we still doing here?
because like you're proving that like you meant it the entire time.
Yeah.
It just makes the moment so much more meaningful and indelible.
And I like this too. It's kind of like retiring early, like Barry Sanders or something. Like,
yeah, you go out of the top of your game.
yeah, don't leave an old man after a string of 10 shitty albums. Just call it.
Another way they're not like Kiss.
Yeah.
Now, I do have to kind of spoil that last bit a little bit because they did do a couple of reunion tours.
I'll give them a pass.
Yeah, they started in 2005. They played a few shows. That was actually the first time they ever appeared in the U.S. was in 2005. They played at a Comic-Con in Houston or something like that. And then they played a benefit concert for victims of the 2011 tsunami. I think even the Dark Overlord would agree that that's worth coming out of retirement.
I say, God sent that shit at you, not me. I'll help you out.
It's like, hey, I'm just here to clean up God's mess. And, and they still, they actually just recently put out a new album. But, hey, give them credit for at least 5 years. They went out hard.
Maybe that is proof that, everyone's theory the world did end in 2012, and now we're just in some weird parallel simulation.
Yeah.
I mean, them coming back, I don't know. We're not in reality anyway.
No, the world did end in 1999.
It was when Harambe died.
When Harambe died.
Everyone knows that was the split. That was when the timelines diverged.
Yeah, and Harambe condemned us all to the hell that we live in right now. But alas, let's finally connect all of this back to Babymetal.
Oh yeah, those guys.
It's only 90 minutes in. Who 1999, they were all born, but they were all literal infants at this time. But all this shit still matters because you see, Sekimatsu were not just a cool band. They were the group that turned Kei Kobayashi, the future founder of Babymetal, into a metalhead. Kobayashi fell in love with Sekimatsu back in elementary school. And I have to think that the band's over-the-top theatrics and elaborate mythology had a huge impact on his plans for Babymetal. You think of Sekimatsu, their image, the type of music they're making. If you're 10 years old when that shit comes out,
God, yeah,
that's gonna hit hard.
He probably felt the way I felt when I first heard King Diamond.
Yeah.
Where I was like, where has this been
my entire life? This is the coolest thing that human minds could possibly come up with. I'm jealous of how it must have felt for him to not only like this band at that time, but just imagine being a Sekimatsu fan in Japan in 1999 when they're this is it. They're going to perform these 3 shows and stop forever. It's if there was a final gathering of the Juggalos and then they're gonna drown themselves in a lake of Fago.
Nick, if there ever is a final gathering of the Juggalos, I will drag my old man ass over there.
We're definitely fucking going 100%.
Yep.
So Kobayashi broke into the music world doing media promotion for visual kai bands like Siam Shade and Cascade. In 1996, he joined Abuse Talent Agency, the corporation that founded Sakura Gakuin. And you might be asking yourself, how did a guy who is a confirmed metalhead who's worked with hard rock bands end up making music for idols? And even he doesn't seem to know the answer to that question. He basically just took on a job and they assigned him to this idol group and said, go make music.
All of life is just people stumbling around.
Yeah.
And that's proof point right there.
Yeah. Just most of us just find ourselves in a position where we have to wing it. And oftentimes it just works.
Yep.
Now, I'm not sure when exactly Kobayashi came up with the idea of a heavy metal idol group, but one thing he knew for sure was that it would only work if it had a strong female vocalist to carry it. Eventually, though, Kobayashi found what he was looking for in the form of then 11-year-old Suzuka Nakamoto. So this is Sue metal, although at the time she was just Little Sue. And Suzuka was part of a girl group called Karen Girls, which made songs. I mean, this is. I
know.
To be fair, this is way before even in the U.S. Karen became a thing.
It's just funny now.
Didn't hold up very long, but the Karen girls who are now Karen women, I'm sure that they are making songs, denouncing all the managers across Japanese cafes. But at the time they existed solely to make music for an anime called Zettai Karen Children. And when that anime ended, so did the group. So Karen Girls gave a farewell performance in March of 2006. And somehow Kobayashi ended up at this concert. I think he was...
That alone is hard to explain.
Well, he was there because...
I'm just a big fan.
No, actually, there was a logical reason. He was there because he was accompanying the Mini Patty Cooking Club, which you remember those
Yep,
guys?
I do, yep.
So that was the group within SG. They actually predate SG, and they were the cooking club that featured Moa and Yui, who would eventually go into Babymetal.
Okay.
So that's how all this shit connects. Like, so they sent Mini Patty to perform as an opener for the Karen Girls farewell concert, and Kobayashi is just sitting there in the background, and he sees Karen Girls perform, and he's like, "Hey, that one girl can actually sing." Like,
That's rare in this industry.
I mean, kind of, because, like, you know, not all idols are like great musicians. I mean, how many great 11-year-old singers are there?
No, yeah.
You know, and if there are, you know, they're likely to just get gobbled up by like
I'm
AKB48.
sure it's more who's cute and who can tolerate this intense, insane lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's the real criteria.
Pretty much. Who can get these horny 35-year-old businessmen worked up the most? But, you know, Karen Girls were ending, and Kobayashi recruits Suzuka into Amuse's next project, which was Sakura Gakuin. And then at the same time, he also recruited Yui and Moa, and the reason that he chose those two was that he said he wanted, quote, the feeling of twins. And Yui and Moa look alike, at least during that time period they did.
Sure.
They have similar facial features. They're like almost the exact same height. And like, so you have this image where Suzuka is kind of like relatively tall, you know, for Japanese girls. And then you have these two short little girls who look alike that are flanking her, dancing side by side. It's a very well thought out, like symmetrical visual image.
Yeah, and twins are kind of creepy in metal for some reason.
Yeah, they're creepy in any context, like going all the way back to The Shining.
Yeah.
But that like what you have is like a kind of gothic Japanese version of the Shining twins. Now, so that's like kind of like how Babymetal got recruited. And then one other person that we have to introduce who's going to be a big part of this is a woman named Mikiko Mizuno, who is known in the Babymetal verse as Mikiko Metal. And she is the choreographer. You know, obviously the choreography is a big part of Babymetal.
Yeah, I mean, any other genre of music, I feel like that would be an overstatement, but with this group,
Yeah.
it is literally half of the package.
Yeah, like you have three girls that are dancing like on stage incongruously to
Yep.
heavy guitar music, but the person who's organizing all those dances is Mikiko Mizuno. So she did not only all the moves for Babymetal, but all the moves for like all of Sakura Gakuin. And I would say that like next to Kobametal, she is one of the most important people in this group. So
I think you're dead on. I think the producer and the choreographer, probably more important than anyone else in the group.
yeah,
They're probably all replaceable.
yeah.
Sorry, Babymetal fans. I know someone wants to kill me over that, but
yeah, like the girls themselves, like I'm not dismissing their talent, which they have in spades, and they bring the personality to the group.
But you know they're writing nothing.
Yeah,
You know they are.
yeah. Well, we'll get to that a little bit later on, because they've written some, but in the beginning, like obviously they're just performing the bit parts
Yeah.
that other people are writing for them. So you have
Can
to.
you just imagine when like, this is the part to do a blast beat? You know, like,
I think the solo should be written in 7/4 time. So that's just our little brief shout out to Mikiko-san. We're probably not going to mention her again, unfortunately, but just know that like,
you're good at your job.
yeah, very good job.
Yep.
Now, the early days of Babymetal were rather humble. Amuse had tolerated Kobayashi's idea for a heavy music club, but they weren't willing to throw a lot of money behind it. At least not at first.
How could you blame them?
Right? It's like, do you want to like maybe test this idea out? Right. No.
No.
It's gonna work, guys. Okay, sure. Just get out of our office. All right. So like on that note, we know Babymetal for like these like dark red and black gothic Lolita costumes that they wear, but in the beginning they had to borrow those costumes from Friend. from Friends. I'm watching too much overdubbed Japanese shit. All right.
Borrow from a friend.
They had to borrow the clothes from Friends. And also, before the Kami band existed, they had to basically just sing in front of a backing track. In spite of all of this, Babymetal made their official debut on November 27th, 2010 at the inaugural Sakura Gakuin Festival in the Red Brick Warehouse in Yokohama. That's Yokohama, not Tokyo. For the record, just remember my words, emblazon them on gold, bury that gold in your basement. It is not Tokyo, it's Yokohama, okay?
All right.
So the song that they played was called Doki Doki Morning. Let's take a listen.
'Nick, what the fuck?
Again, I have to make the pitch that I hate making, but you guys have to watch the video for this shit. It's more demented than even it sounds.
The metalhead in me watches that and just goes like, "Look how they massacred my boy."
It's just like it's such a joke. Like it's just like I don't know. It's like if Trump tried to perform Macbeth, and he's like, he had this guy Macbeth. He's a great, wonderful king. Everybody loves him. He's doing a great job. But then suddenly, like that's it, and people clap for it. Like, I mean, a number of things are striking about that. The first and most obvious one for me is that they are so young.
Yeah. Especially the two, twin ones.
Yeah.
They look 11 or 12.
They are. So in the video, which came out in 2011, Yui and Moa were 11 and Sue was 13. And yeah, so like it's just, and they're just doing these dances, performing to that music that you just heard.
My favorite part is like in these early ones, they didn't try and blend the style really.
No.
You have like a metal verse and then the most bubblegum J-poppy chorus.
Yeah.
And then it goes back. And you're like, what the fuck is this?
To me, this is like really the truest distillation of kawaii metal that Babymetal did. And where like, it's actually a little bit more kawaii than metal. Mm-hmm. It's very awkward. And a lot of the first few Babymetal songs are very awkward in that respect.
You can tell they were still trying to do idol music, but with like a metal style under it.
Yeah, it's like how much, because that's the really key thing to remember about Babymetal at this time period is like they are an idol group. It's actually less than that. They are a subunit within an idol group. This is a side hustle to the big breadwinner that is Sakura Gakuin. And everybody involved has to like be cognizant of that at all times. Like there's no thought at all that they're gonna like take this specific song and tour it all over the world and make shitloads of money out of it. It's just like, it's like imagine that like you perform a skit for a corporate video at the office. You don't think you're gonna like be on SNL for the next 5 years.
Yeah. Just watching that old one, like that's still the tie between the metal we talked about up till now and that song. It's not super obvious yet.
No.
Because like you said, that's very much an idol group still.
Yeah.
They just happen to have a distorted guitar in the verse.
Yeah, the only way that I think it does connect is that if you do look at it from a metal perspective, it's that not being afraid to venture into other genres
Yes.
and do massive stylistic shifts within the same song.
It's exactly it. They don't have that fear we have of the heavy crowd is going to hate this.
Yes.
They're just more willing to blur genre lines.
Yeah, and I think that is totally commendable on their part. Like, again, like Babymetal is like just like this kind of weird curiosity within the greater lore of Sakura Gakuin. And, you know, there was this moment when they had that first performance and, you know, they did the Twinkle Stars song, and then they did the Mini Patty song, and then they did that song. And like, you know, these the three girls that are performing, like they're in other groups in SG. So like they go backstage, they change into their outfits, they come out on stage. They don't know how this is going to be received. Like it'd be really interesting to like kind of step into their minds at that particular moment where like people are either going to like this or be totally revulsed and walk out of the stadium. For all they knew, that was going to be the reaction.
God, that's so weird too that they're professionals at that level. Even at that young of an age. Just go out there and do the song, and if people hate it, whatever, this is a business.
Yeah.
Different vibe than how I think of art.
Yeah, but like for them, you know, they're idols. They're used to having their entire lives managed like piece by piece every minute of the day and to like just constantly following orders without question. So like they want to be received well, they want it to be liked, and they're very, you know, obviously they're little girls, they're scared of not being liked, but they're professionals enough that they're just gonna do it anyway, even if they have misgivings.
It's just another bit. It's just another thing or another role.
Another role, yeah. But you know, thankfully it did go over well with audiences. Like, you know, they weren't turned off by it. They found it, I think, amusing, which I think was the original intent of this project. So that Doki Doki Morning song, it appears on the first SG album, which again, you got to think like this is an album of track after track of shitty saccharine J-pop music, and then that. So, but then like Babymetal starts to release a few other singles, you know, which are all kind of musically a little bit all over the place. Like there's a song called Ine where they have a rap bridge at one point.
Oh no.
They're just like throwing everything against the wall to see if it sticks. But kind of gradually they start to develop an audience that's outside of Sakura Gakuin. This happens like very slowly over the course of like 2 or 3 years. For example, in August of 2012, like about 2 years after that initial debut, they were invited to Japan's Summer Sonic Festival. Now, this is like just a big, like kind of generic Japanese music festival where they invite like mostly like Western headliners. For example, that same year, the headliners were Green Day and Rihanna.
Okay.
But Babymetal get onto this ticket. They're actually the youngest artists ever to perform at Summer Sonic that year.
I believe it.
Yeah. I mean, who else? You're going to find like an 8-year-old who's going to rock audiences?
He can't say his R's yet, but just get him out there.
But in an episode that's reminiscent of the Black Eyed Peas on the Warped Tour, they were relegated to the sideshow stage, which is mainly reserved for stand-up comics and is located near the food court of the festival.
Ouch.
And they're playing at like 1 p.m. or something like that. So they take the stage. Everybody else is just like eating their crunchy rolls and you know, like not really giving this much thought. And then they start to play their music, and you know, according to the reporting, everybody just stops eating and looks at them like, what the fuck? Like,
well, again, I don't. How many people at this event that came to see Green Day is expecting a thrash metal beat to just like
no,
especially when you're sitting there eating your roll or whatever.
It's like what am I? It's like you hear a thing and then you turn around and see the image of that thing, and just like your brain has to process what's
Three
happening.
little goth girls dancing around.
Yeah, it's like if you saw a crab barking.
Yeah,
like, it wouldn't make sense. So that went over pretty well, and then a month later, they played at an anime festival in Singapore. Now, that might not sound like a big deal, but at the time, this was the first time that any subunit of Sakura Gakuin had performed outside of Japan, and it proved that Babymetal could achieve success outside the typical Japanese idol audience.
Yeah, I mean, anime nerds, that is a logical
That's
first group you would go after.
that's who you want to target for this type of thing, for sure. Now, in January of 2013, Babymetal released their fourth single, titled Ijime Dame Zatai. This song was a milestone for Babymetal in several ways. For one thing, it was their first single to be released on a major label and the first to reach the top 10 of Japan's Oricon singles chart. But the song itself is also more serious, interesting, and compositionally metal than anything Babymetal had released thus far, hinting at the direction this band would take in the future. Let's take a listen. 'Cause
All right.
that wasn't bad.
No, so that one, this is starting to make sense to me now.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's if you take Dragon Force, add cute Japanese girls, and that makes perfect sense for the anime market we were just talking about.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like there's it's less like Doki Doki Morning is just like this weird, like psychotic mashup of different styles.
That's like when you go to a restaurant and they have some gimmick food item.
Yeah, it's like, here's a hamburger with strawberries.
Yeah.
Like, but that song compositionally makes sense.
Yes.
It's actually thought out.
That's basically a straight up, like power metal song.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens to have tiny Japanese female vocals over it.
Yeah, like you get a little bit of the kawaii-ness.
Yeah.
But like really it's more of a unified thing. And that's kind of what we're going to see a lot from Babymetal going forward. And it's not only musically sound, like lyrically, it's a relatively serious message. The title translates to "No More Bullying Forever," and it's a song about bullying.
Okay.
Which again, these are teenage girls writing for a teenage audience. Largely, they're singing about things that teenage girls could.
It's weird, man.
relate
It's like
to.
a parallel universe Disney club.
Yeah.
Like, what if Disney had decided, like, Hannah Montana needs a metal song?
No, but again, I think the only reason that didn't happen was because metal was a moral panic in the US, right, the way that it didn't seem to be in Japan. So, it might have sounded weird to them, but they wouldn't have heard that and thought to themselves, oh,
right,
that's a demonic, evil thing I should not have in my house.
Next, my kid's going to be doing heroin.
Yeah, it's like it's just a different style to them.
Yep.
So, I mean, I actually kind of like that song. I think this, it is the best representation of what early Babymetal can bring to the table, where, you have Sue Metal showing off her vocals, the other, Yui and Moa chiming in with their, kind of cute little chants. But, instrumentally, it is a recognizable, well-produced, like you said, power metal song.
Yep.
So, in March of 2013, Suzuka Nakamoto graduated from Sakura Gakuin, having aged out at the tender age of 15.
It's like football, but even crazier.
I know, it's just like...
You're 18? You're ancient. Get the fuck out.
It's like you're actually starting to develop, full anatomical features. Get the hell out of here. Join the real world.
If you have more than 20 pubes, you're out of the band.
Now, this put Babymetal at a crossroads. Could they continue this unique project independent of the fictional idol school which had given it birth? How far could they realistically go with a concept like kawaii metal, and would they ever actually be accepted by the metal community writ large? Now in the end, of course, Koba, Su, Yui, and Moa Metal chose the path less traveled. They left the idol world behind and embarked on an epic quest to conquer the metal universe with powers levied straight from the Fox God. And it's with that epic quest that we'll pick back up in Babymetal Part 3.
This one went too fast, man.
I know, man. We're like 2 episodes in, and we're really just at the start of the story, essentially. But like, it's really gonna start cooking with Babymetal in the next episode, because we're gonna get into like the lore behind the group. Like, I keep mentioning the Fox God. I'm gonna finally explain what that's all about. I'm gonna just talk about like their early stuff and Gimme Chocolate, and like just how this like insane thing actually started to be a successful concept.
No, it's one thing I'm always struck with when I watch Japanese chefs on YouTube versus other I watch a lot of YouTube cooking. more than makes sense, honestly. They'll prepare and lay out most of their ingredients ahead of time. There's like most Japanese cooking is simple ingredients done very masterfully. That's the whole philosophy, and you cut all your vegetables and lay them all out so you're ready. That's essentially what you did, whether you knew it or not.
Yes, I am a master chef of podcast storytelling, and I'm just cutting up and displaying my ingredients.
So now it's all on the table. You all understand Japanese idols, Japanese metal. Let's smash it all together.
We're gonna roll it into a big sushi roll that is the true Babymetal story, and I can't wait to talk about that in our next episode. So, Cal, like, how can people find out more about this podcast or reach us if they're interested in picking our brains or correcting our horrible pronunciations?
We've been getting an uptick in emails, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, we've gotten a lot of feedback, and Instagram, a lot of feedback on this series so far.
It's what is it? polishing.podcast@gmail.com.
Polishing.podcast is our Instagram. One of my favorite things about this show is how one of the hosts doesn't know.
I know.
Social media.
It's because every time we record, it's like a fresh battle. I have to like remember. I'm like, what is it again?
No, I get it, man. Like,
but hey, I don't know my wife's phone number, so
who does? I don't know your phone number.
Right, no one knows that stuff anymore.
So polishing.podcast is our Instagram. That's where we post the most stuff and where it's probably easiest to reach us. polishingturdspodcast@gmail.com if you want to send us a longer form email or virus or whatever, as many have tried.
Yeah, phishing attempts, that's pretty regular.
And of course, also make sure to give us a 5-star rating on the app of your choice. Otherwise, we will send out the Akuma to come snatch you up in the middle of the night.
If you're gonna give like a 4 too, just don't.
Stay home. Just don't. Just admit that your life is a miserable failure, and just never say anything at all, because really your opinion is worth nothing if you don't think we're worth 5 stars. But other than that, I hope you all have a doki doki morning, or a doki doki afternoon, or doki doki evening.
I think I actually do listen to this in the morning most often.
Yeah.
Any podcast, not just ours.
I listen to it while I'm like on long drives through the country late at night. And then I try to laugh my way into not skidding into the cornfield. But we will see you soon, and until next time, arigato and sayonara.
to see. But if you go around earring manko on the streets of Japan, chances are you'll be thrown into an asylum. But this is New York City, right? If you shout it out here, no one will know what you're talking about, right? There are millions of Japanese boys that wish they could shout it out at least once in their lives. So, I want you to shout it so loud that it will make them jealous.